everyone, and Happy New Year if you're watching this in January. This video is going to be about how I installed raised metal beds in my backyard. I really wanted to expand my garden from my back hill into more of my yard, and this spot seemed to be perfect because the bushes that I'm cutting down right here I absolutely hate for whatever weird reason. Every year when they flower, flies are attracted to the flowers, and it's right next to my patio door, which is, as you can imagine, a recipe for disaster, having bushes right next to your doors and windows that attract flies. Now, in a perfect world, I'd be able to rip out some of my grass and put raised beds there, but I am just not quite there yet. In my perfect dream world, I would be turning this property into a little suburban homestead, but I'm not ready to commit to that kind of a project yet. So this seemed like the perfect opportunity. All I did was cut the bushes down as low as I could because metal raised beds are, completely open on the bottom. You don't actually have to get the ground beneath it flat. So I just lopped those bushes down as low as I could to the ground, and then I set aside all of the cuttings to then fill in the bottom of the beds again. Metal raised beds are probably a really good option for you if you're someone who is doing this alone, or maybe you don't have just a lot of the skill or the manpower to install maybe like a tall wooden raised bed, or even building something out of cinder blocks. That's what I had first considered, but it was just too expensive and too much work, and the metal raised beds seemed to make so much more sense for me. And honestly, they did, because I'm not even 5'2", and I was able to install these beds on my own. I could pick them up and move them around on my own. And so it's definitely an option for people who have some limitations. That being said, my husband did help me build the second two, and it did go a lot faster because I can't reach all the way down. And so, he could be doing one side while I did the other, and it made it move a lot faster. But definitely something you could do on your own. And if I'm being honest, the most difficult and time-consuming part of this entire project was removing that plastic cover. I think you saw me do that a little bit earlier. There's just like this plastic coating over each of the panels on the outside, so to keep the paint nice, which I definitely appreciate, but it did take me a little bit of finagling to get it off and to kind of get into the rhythm of a good way to take it off. So, that's a small gripe to have for something that I was able to manage so easily on my own. One of the reasons that I chose metal beds was because they're more affordable than most of the other options I considered, especially for something at this height, and it was just easy for me to do on my own. My husband works crazy hours, and so I only have his help sporadically. I don't know when I can necessarily depend on having his help, so I was able to do most of this project completely on my own, which, gives me a sense of pride as a gardener, but also allowed me a little more flexibility on this setup. Now, I will say it did take me a lot longer to set this up and get it all ready than it should have. I bought these as part of a Labor Day sale, and there's just been a few setbacks, including illnesses and family issues. Realistically, this probably could have been done in a week, including the soil and everything, but life happens. Okay, I wanted to explain really quick what changes we're making so far. So this is what it looks like right now with the 3 beds, and we kind of decided that this one could fill up a bit more space. So we bought an expansion panel for the middle. Today we're gonna pull all of this out. I'm gonna put all the bedding down, or I'm gonna put all of the wiring and the weed cloth and stuff down. And then what I'm gonna do is have the far ones kind of get started, and then we'll work on expanding that center one. So because if you can see, and let's center it a little bit, you can see there's plenty of space on either side, and it looks kind of just silly with just those. And so, I have the space, why not use it? It's only going to expand it about 9 inches on either side, and there's about 18 inches available on either side, so should be plenty. So let's see what happens. And I just have to give an extra shout out to my husband, because expanding that center bed was his idea, and it was a phenomenal idea, and I'm very glad that we did it. It worked out really well. I also want to say that I realize how awful the walls look on the backside of these planters, but I actually did go out there and scrub them. I washed them really good and scrubbed them down, and I was able to get the dirt off, but I was not able to get those big brown spots off. And I realized after trying for a while that this wasn't actually like stains or dirt. I mean, some of it was, but I was able to get the dirt off. What it is the house was originally like a tannish brown color, and then the owners before us painted the house the color that it is now. And the bushes were there when they painted the house. So I think what happened is when they did that, they just did not get behind the bushes very well. I didn't do a whole lot of planning going into this project. There were definitely a few changes made throughout and a few problems that came up throughout, like realizing that center bed needed to be expanded. And also there was one not so minor flaw that came from this project that I will show at the end of this video. But I just want to say, if you are planning to do a project like this, one, try to think through all of the possibilities. But two, don't let all those little mistakes stop you, because honestly, I'm still glad that I did it even with all of the problems that I countered, because it's still way better than those bushes. I'm going to have a ton of fun growing different things in these planters, and at the end of the day, that was the goal. And I'm not sad that I made all these mistakes along the way. I just learned from them. And then when I go to expand, my garden in the future, I will have this wealth of knowledge that I have gained. So I hope that you can take that into your own garden and, projects around the house as well. That, do a little bit of research, get your plan going, think it out a little bit, but don't let it stop you if you don't feel like you have everything 100%, because there's always more that we're going to learn with every project that we do, especially when it's the first time you're doing something. So I would love to hear if you've had any projects go really well or even really horribly in your garden. Leave a comment in the comment section below, and maybe we can kind of share some information with each other, or commiserate in each other's failures, or celebrate each other's successes. I would just love to hear what projects you guys have been working on and have done, and maybe something you're proud of that you've done in this past year or are planning for 2023. I have so many plans. I have no clue which ones of them I'm actually going to be able to complete because, again, life happens, but I'm pretty excited for all the possibilities. And I'm sure I will tick off a few of those boxes. I might not get to everything, but that's totally okay. Like I said, every year we're learning, every year we're growing, literally, if you have a garden, and that's just always something to look forward to.
Okay, so quick update. It's been a couple of weeks since I last really recorded anything because we all got sick here. But my husband, ignore that pile. But my husband helped me put together this bed in the middle. I know it was already put together, but we extended it. So let me show you what it looks like. It looks so much better now. So this is what it looks like with, so that's the new long bed in the middle with the two shorter beds on the side. I got these beds from Vigo Garden, and I'm really happy with them so far. They were really helpful with me changing this because I ordered 3 4-in-1s, and I should have ordered 2 4-in-1s and a 6-in-1, but I measured wrong. So they were really great with helping me fix that. Underneath all of this is gopher netting, and then I put landscape cloth on top, and then in here I cut the landscape cloth out so that it would drain better, and then I put down cardboard, and then I put down branches, and then if you look in this one, I've been putting down like compost and just veggie scraps because it's going to take me a while to fill these up.
This is the bulk soil being delivered. It saved me so much money. When you do the math of how many bags I needed and how many cubic feet it would have taken to fill up those planters, it actually turned out that buying it in bulk like this was going to save me a ton of money, even though when I buy it in bulk, they have a minimum of a 5 cubic yard delivery charge, or not delivery charge, but you have to order a minimum of 5 cubic yards in order to have it delivered. And I don't have a truck, so I went ahead and did that, and I used about 1.5 to 2 cubic yards to fill this up. And then the people who came to help me fill this up, There was a few of them. I'd let them take as much as they wanted. So between the people that came, about another 2 cubic yards was used, and then I filled up everything else in my yard that I could. Then I still actually had a little bit left over, and even buying all that extra soil, I saved so much money. So the soil that we bought is really, well, this actually looks worse because it just rained, but it's pretty bulky. Like there's a lot of wood chips in it. So I don't want to start my seeds directly in this. So what I'm gonna do is I have a few bags of just like raised bed soil, and I'm gonna sift them into the top of this so that I can start my seeds into something a little less coarse. I am so glad that I did this step because I planted so many seeds in here and they all did really well because of having this layer of really fine soil on the top. And I cannot wait to harvest. I've already harvested a few things, but I cannot wait to harvest all the things that are going to come out of this because of it. It's actually been 2 months since I filmed this. So I'm hoping that at the end of this video, I can put in a couple of clips of what it looks like now because things have just really taken off. I can't say that it's all growing perfectly, but I am pretty proud, especially of the lettuce, because most of the time in my garden, I've struggled with growing things in the winter, and this area just gets so much sunlight that everything has really thrived.
All right, so it's been almost 3 months since we started this project, but they are all in, and you can see there's seeds started in all of them. I'm so excited for how this is going to turn out in my fall and winter garden, and I'm going to use it in spring and summer too. I think it'll do really well. It just doesn't get as much sunlight in the spring and summer as the rest of the garden, but it gets way more sunlight than everything else in the winter. So I'm really happy to have this year. I'm also really happy to have all those bushes gone. And it's a bummer that I didn't get this started a month earlier than I did, because I think all of these seeds would have done better if they'd had another month. But it's fine. This is our first year doing this, so it's okay if we learn through failure a little bit. I've been really happy with them. If you see, none of them appear to be buckling to the weight of all the soil inside. I did put extra braces on all of them. I went to the hardware store and bought stuff to do that myself. So hopefully this works really well. I still have to come in and cut the extra of that off. That right there. But that's pretty much it. I haven't finished putting all the rocks around the backside, but this is kind of just what it looks like for now. And my dying grass. I do still need to set up the irrigation system to come up through these. I just haven't decided how I want to do that yet. So for now, it's also, and then I can show you, it's right next to the hose. So with the hose there, I'm not too concerned about watering these. But that is something that we're going to have to do at least by next spring. So thank you guys so much for coming along. I hope this is helpful if you've considered getting raised beds, the metal raised beds, especially the extra tall ones, because I think that the taller they get, the harder it is to really find something that's sturdy and affordable. And though this was a bit of an investment with all 3 of these and, putting down the rock and adding the soil, it was a lot more affordable than if I had built something here. So yeah, I hope that was helpful. And if you guys want to see what happens in these and how this grows, just click that subscribe button and click the bell for notifications so you can know when I put out new videos. Every month I give kind of an update on what's going on. You can tune into those videos, and if you like this, give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have ever used these metal raised beds or a different kind of raised bed that you prefer. Eventually it would be nice to rip out a lot of that grass and put in raised beds instead. But we'll see if we get there. All right, well, thank you guys again for joining, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye.
Okay, everyone, this is what the garden looks like in January. It is January 2nd when I record this, and you can see that everything is really growing and thriving. Everything that I planted grew really well, with the exception of one seed packet. Nothing germinated, and I actually planted it in a few spaces and nothing germinated, and it was just lettuce, so I think it was more the seeds. But the one not so minor flaw I was telling you guys about is actually you can kind of see how there's a bunch of mud on my walls and windows. Um, I did not consider the fact that my house does not have rain gutters. And while here in Southern California it does not rain that often, when it does rain, it tends to pour and come off of the roof and go straight into these planters. So you can kind of see this line in each of the planters where there's an indent, and that is where the rain has come down and pretty much killed anything that was in that line because it comes down so heavy. And as much as I love the rain, and here in California, we need what we can get, I was not prepared for the amount of rain that we were going to get this last couple of months. It's just been kind of constant. And so I've actually had to come out and cover these as best as I could to get everything to survive. So that was really unfortunate that I didn't think that through. And so now my option is to either plant something in here that's kind of going to survive long term, and then maybe it'll be able to survive with the rain coming off the roof, or two, just put some gutters, which I've been debating on. So you tell me if you have an opinion on that, because it would be nice to at least have some portion of my house collecting rainwater. That's something that we can do where I live. So I'm really debating on it. But again, that's an investment I wasn't planning on. So there's my one not so minor flaw. I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, bye.